Oh, hello and welcome to another casual deck design video. This is another one of my 60 card casual decks. Technically this is a modern legal deck, but it is not strong enough for any kind of competitive modern environment. This is my textless deck. I had this goal a long time ago to make a deck with all the textless cards, and while I cannot technically make it all textless without relying on some non-basic lands, you can, of course, make it completely textless with all basic lands. I have included just a few non-basics to make this more playable, specifically because there is a card coming up that helps with a fetch land, and I'll show that shortly here. But essentially this is a red-black, well, of course it's red-black, it's my two favorite colors to play together, a black-red burn deck. Textless cards, there are no textless creatures printed. They are all spells. They haven't made any textless cards for since 2011, I think. So I'm hoping they come back with some more. I don't like the new border on the new cards down here, but all these cards, textless cards, essentially match the same border and frame. They look nice. When doing this, obviously, you want to have some way of including red if you have the goal of a textless deck, because red has burn spells. If you have no creatures, obviously you have no other win condition. So I chose black and red because black also has a few supplementary burn effects and a couple draw effects. Some things that actually help this deck win. I was thinking about actually making this Grixis just so I can include Ponder. Ponder is, of course, not modern legal. And the other alternative there would be to include Cryptic Command. The 3 blue in the requirement of Cryptic Command in a deck relying on as many textless lands as possible. That's not going to work out. So we have just black and red here. Let's go through the deck. This entire stack is all instances. Like my sliver deck, if you did not see it, this is a quadruple sleeved deck for no reason whatsoever. I've been in a financial pinch helping support someone who passed away and now paying more bills than I was before. So I've been purging, like just purging massive amounts of what I consider to be resources, games, magic cards, things like that. What I have kept, although, I've been using to optimize and improve what decks I felt worthy of keeping. This is one of the decks I felt was worth keeping, so I've improved the land base, essentially. It is quad sleeve because I really do like these Commander Arsenal sleeves. These are actually very poor quality sleeves. As in, if you do not have some kind of protective around those sleeves, they will peel and they will fade way too quickly. So there's really no reason to do more than double sleeving, and a lot of my friends make fun of me for double sleeving and triple sleeving decks. I quad sleeve this one just for shits and giggles, and it's humongous, and it has no sideboard, so there's exactly 60 cards, no way of you shuffle this up and that's it. So let's go through the spells. Burst Lightning is a variable. Again, these are all instances, so this is a shock essentially where I can pay a kicker to burn for 4 instead. So we have a play set of those. And then, of course, we have the best burn spell ever printed. Modern's best removal is Lightning Bolt. Burns target creature or player for 3. I'm assuming you know what half these do, but I'll have to probably tell. Incinerate is another version of Lightning Bolt. It's still instant. It just burns target creature or player for 3, and I believe the creature can't be regenerated. That usually doesn't come up since this is typically doming the opponent in the face. Searing Blaze is essentially the reason I broke down and put a few non-basic lands in the deck. It burns creature for 1 and player for 1. If a landfall triggers, it does 3 to creature and 3 to player. So with a fetch land, being an instant, I can do this on the end of an opponent's turn. And this is just really good burn spells you would classically see. Good stuff black gives us is Terminate, just destroys a creature, cannot be regenerated. Volcanic Fallout is one of my old favorite cards. Not super good in a lot of environments. It may be a sideboard card in some modern decks, I suppose, but it is 3 mana instant to burn all creatures and players for 2, and it cannot be countered. Essentially 1 more mana for a Pyroclasm that also hits players and can't be countered. And then Flame Javelin, again, increasing my non-basic land count has helped this one tremendously. It burns for 4, creature player for 4, that is. And that's it for the instances. Let's go on to the sorceries. What black has given us is essentially a few extra techie cards. Sign in Blood is a sorcery that I can target a player and make them lose 2 life and draw 2 cards. So in a burn deck, this is quite often going to be a burn spell to kill the opponent with, or early game it's just going to help me get up more. But I like holding on to this because it is essentially another burn spell. And we have a pair of Damnations in here. There are no creatures, and I will fail to creature heavy strategies while I'm waiting to burn the opponent, so these help. And Blightning is another burns target player for 3, and then they discard 2 cards. It's a Mind Rot and a Lightning Bolt put together. So that's probably one of the better cards here. And again, that's really good that black gives us that effect. Let's go on to the lands. There are 24 lands in the deck. To go with the Searing Blaze there, of course you want fetch lands. In typical competitive burn decks, you'll see quite a few fetch lands. I've only included just the black-red ones because that's the colors I'm playing. So we have a playset of the Bloodstained Mires. I really don't like the new border on these. I just put my other Mires in my Sliver deck, and this one is not as good as my Sliver deck in my opinion. But we also have a playset of Crypts to help with things like the red requirement on here or the black requirement on the Sign in Blood. And then a playset of Lava Claw Reaches. Again, this is something I've been on the fence of taking out. It is a creature, or it could be a creature, and this is technically the only tap land I have. So it's okay. This deck is designed to win as fast as possible. It's not as quick as your ideal burn deck, so something like this may come back and save us. Then we have just 6 of each basic, and of course I pulled all of these out of my Mogus deck because I've been reworking my Mogus deck and my Bladewing deck, combining them, and I have a new set of lands for that deck. I'll be recording that shortly. But again, this happens when financial shit hits the fan and Magic cards are considered a financial resource. So while this deck is very shiny, I have actually sacrificed many decks to make this essentially exist, and half of that financial resource was used to pay bills for just random funeral costs and whatnot. Sad stories are sad. Anyways, this deck, although is not sad, it's very fun to play. Again, this is designed for 1v1 in casual. A strictly, like an actual, just attuned standard or modern burn deck will do infinitely better than this, even though I have access to things like Lightning Bolt. But yeah, this is just a very beautiful deck to play. The non-basics I'm still on the fence of taking back out for just plain old basics, because that would make the entire deck have the same full art border, or textless border. Oh, I've also been thinking about just doing this with an EDH deck, maybe doing a Teriel deck, because if I include all the textless cards, there are currently about 50-some textless cards that have this. It's not full art. Full art is the ones that still have the text box down here, but the textless ones, there's about 50 of those, and the majority of them seem to be black, red, and white. And I could definitely make a functional Teriel deck with that. It wouldn't be very strong, and running things like Corrupt in a 3-color deck is not very strong. But it's a possibility for a Shenanigans EDH. It wouldn't be very powerful. Just like this, it's not very powerful. But it's also a casual deck. It's a beautiful deck, and this is where I'm just kind of hiding some of my resources, my MTG currency, while I am finishing up some other odds and ends. But yeah, hope you enjoy this stupid casual burn deck, and I would guarantee you just about any normal burn deck would just raffle stomp this thing.